Set up recording. And then we're going to go ahead and start. And so I'm Brad Anderson. I'm the director for the Sales Leadership Center, and I also teach a couple marketing classes over here, sales and sales management. We also have Todd Brochko. He's from CED, which is Consolidated Electrical Distributors. He's one of our sponsors for the Sales Leadership Center. And so while they recruit for a lot of salespeople, engineering people and other disciplines are also welcome. So, and the same with our stuff over in marketing. So what we're going to be talking about today is elevator pitch. So, everybody, believe it or not, is somehow selling. So the elevator pitch is just about defining your unique selling position. So you're selling yourself. And with that, I will talk about, what that means. Well, it's what are your needs in your product or service meeting, right? So if you're selling yourself, how do you then do it? So, if you're selling yourself, what do you provide that somebody else is going to want and be able to use, right? And are you meeting it? So some brief product service description. And who else is meeting this need? So that's what we're really going to be covering today, is how to sell yourself in basically a minute and a half, okay? So what you want to do when you're doing that is define your business unique selling proposition. So how well, in your estimation, is your competition meeting it? So in other words, if you're selling yourself, why are you better than everybody else? And how are you meeting the need in a better or different way from those competitions? So what skills do you have? What experiences do you have? Things like that, they're going to set you apart from everyone else and make you go to the top. So what's so special about your business or yourself? And in one sentence, explain why you think your organization will be successful. A possible, USP for this is, like Nestle, good food, good life. They produce only good food so that people can have a good life and be nutritious and healthy and things like that. Well, when you think about that for your person, for you, think about what, is going to make you successful. Well, you're diligent, you're hardworking, you're on time. So all those qualities and that kind of stuff. And then put that into a statement about yourself. All of these things contribute to my skills, my experiences, to why you should hire me. So that gets us to what this thing is called the elevator pitch, right? So that was all leading up to this. And a clear elevator speech means that people understand when and how to hire you, whom to refer to you, and how to represent you to others, okay? A poor elevator pitch is going to be ineffective referrals, so people are not going to remember you. They're not going to remember any of the things that you said, or it's going to be poor at attracting undesirable clients because you're going to get people that are unqualified being sent. So what you want to do is make sure that whatever you put in your elevator pitch is clearly understood about what is good about you, what your experiences are, and why you should be the best candidate. Before you entered the elevator, so before you go into that elevator pitch, know what your message and your audience are ready to do. So know who your audience is. Now, it may be true that you go to a career fair and you're going to be there, you're going to see recruiters. And so you're going to see people like Todd. And know a little bit about the company, know about what you want to be known for. So those two pieces. But you want to know a little bit about their company. And if you know ahead of time, you can actually look them up on LinkedIn as well. But look about the company. What's their mission statement? Who are their primary customers? What are the services they offer? What are the jobs they're looking for? So do your research. So you've got basically 2 days to your career fair. This would be the time to do that. You should have a list of the companies that are attending the career fair. So, go look at the ones that you want to seek out, right? And then on your self side, what are you really selling? Are you selling your skills? Are you selling your character? Are you selling both? So make sure that whatever you're selling, you make that clear and communicate that. And then what makes you stand out from the crowd? What makes you unique? That whole statement of what I was saying before. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Todd for just a couple minutes, let him basically tell you why, from a recruiter standpoint, this is so important for you guys to get right.
Thanks, Brad. I'm just writing something down to say.
That's okay.
So I'll talk about, thanks, Brad, for letting me do this, and hello to everybody there. This is so important, and I'm going to talk about it since you guys have a career fair coming up. I'm going to talk about it from a career fair perspective, because I mean, I've been doing career fairs for years, and I've seen many years of the way people have done things. And I don't want to start negative, but I would tell you overwhelmingly, students now don't do a very good job of this elevator pitch function. And if you guys can do well, you're going to set yourselves apart, because I think overwhelmingly most students aren't aware, or they're not doing this. So from a career fair standpoint, have something to say. Like Brad is saying, they call it an elevator pitch, and then they say you're selling yourself. And honestly, up until not too many years ago, both of those things intimidated me immensely. Selling myself and an elevator pitch, that sounds very intimidating. All that really means is when you meet somebody, have something to say. Be able to introduce yourself and give somebody some facts on yourself. And for a career fair, and I would write this down, here's what I like to see from somebody. Come up to a booth and you say, hi, my name is Jose, and I am Jose, your last name, Jose Ramirez. Okay. I am a third year engineering student. I'm from Norco, and I'm looking for an internship or possibly work when I'm done graduating. How are you? If somebody comes up to me with those 4 things, I'm thinking, man, this is a great introduction. Because most people come up and go, well, what's CED do? Or what are you about? And I'm not criticizing them. I know they're trying their best, but they're not telling me anything about them. When somebody says that to me, I instantly turn it around and go, well, tell me a little bit about you, because I want to know their name, their class standing, where they're from, and what they're looking for, because that's going to dictate to me what we're going to start talking about and what's appropriate. So from a basic standpoint, those things right there are what I would have prepared. And you can introduce yourself and tell the person those basic things. And I think 90% of the time you're going to start a conversation at a career fair. Do you agree with that, Brad?
I absolutely agree with that. And we will be covering in more detail some of what he's talking about a little bit later.
Okay. Well, do you want me to hit on anything else there, or did I don't want to over talk. I don't want to under talk. Was that hit what you're talking about?
You did exactly what was needed, was to tell them how important this is from your perspective and helping them with the career fair. So that's perfect.
It is. I mean, it will help you all immensely if you have those. If you want me to say them one more time, have your name, tell them your name, your class standing, your hometown and or where you live. Those could be different. So you could say, I'm from Norco. That's where I was born and raised, but I live in Fullerton for school. Most companies are working geographically on openings and different things, so that's important. And then the type of position you're seeking. I'm looking for an internship now this summer. I'm looking for a position potentially when I get out of school in another year and a half, whatever the case is. If you can, those 4 things, that's a great start.
Yeah. So we're going to do a little exercise here, and we only have a few people, so this will be really pretty quick. And we can actually go through all of you. But so think, and we're just, if we were in person, I'd have you write this down on a piece of paper and we do the whole form, but let's start just doing the first one. So what attributes are you known for? So what do other people think of when they say, okay, Alvaro, I just met you and now I know you, what do I think of when I see Alvaro? And that can be, characteristics, it can be skills, but what do they think of, so if each of you would just write down or think of the three things, and then share them back with us.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
A big problem for me with this is just sometimes I just find it personally. I mean, this is a me problem that I just find it kind of, or I feel like as it's kind of boastful, or like how do I go about this without like, feeling this way? You know what I mean?
No, I know exactly. And
Justin, can you give me an example? Give me an example of what you mean, because it's a great question, and I'm sure other people feel that way. So give me an example when you feel
It,
both. What are you talking about?
it's all like, oh, I'm a great leader, or I'm really creative, or I'm really, I don't want to say smart. I'm really, let's say,
you're an
just looking at
engineer,
this
you're smart.
list, just, I'm really analytical. I feel like that's just like, does it feel that way from a recruiter, like from a recruiter or from the recruiting
You
standpoint?
told me you think you're smart. I might take that as a little
Yeah,
bit.
okay, smart wasn't the
That's,
right word,
but if you
but
say, hey, I'm analytical, no. So, I think part of it is the words you choose. And the fact that you're asking the question means you're probably not boastful because you're asking the question, right? So some of it is word choice. Why don't you do the exercise and we'll look at what you say and I'll tell you if they look good or not.
okay, sounds good.
That's
You
fair.
know?
It's a great question.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I can tell you, Justin, many people, I have students in my classes that feel just like you do. So yeah, think of the three things, and as soon as somebody has three, you can share. And since we only have a few people, I'd like everybody to share. So
How many people do we have? I see three. I see Justin,
we've got Alvaro,
Arrow, and
Justin,
TJ.
Samuel,
Is
and
there anybody else?
we got four.
We
Four
got four.
students.
Who's the fourth?
TJ
I see TJ, I see Alvaro, and I see Justin.
and Samuel and Alvaro.
Okay.
Anybody ready to share?
I can share.
Okay.
Does someone else say something? Okay, so I just said project-minded, joyful, and motivated. The more,
Okay.
yes,
So project-minded, joyful,
and motivated.
and motivated. Okay.
The reason is I've been described as very happy, and I'm just like, what do you mean? It's like people say that I don't usually look like I'm either get down. Usually I'm just in a bright mood. So I've been described as a very joyful person.
And that's actually a good quality.
Let me give you a word, Alvaro,
Mhm.
to substitute for joyful. Not that joyful's not bad quality, but maybe upbeat would be a
Okay.
better, more work-minded word.
Okay, more
People
upbeat.
always want to work with upbeat people, and that's the same as joyful. It's just a little more work oriented.
Right.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Upbeat, or you could even say energize.
Yep. Energetic. Yep. Energized. That's good too.
Okay.
You can't get enough of those people, so that's a good quality.
Yeah. Somebody else want to share theirs?
Yeah, I can go for it.
How you doing, TJ?
Good. How you doing, sir?
Good.
For me, I've been described as self-starter, goal-orientated, and disciplined. Can't say I'm
Those are
always upbeat, but
So what was
I
the
always like getting the job done.
what was the third one?
I was disciplined.
Discipline. Okay.
That or yeah.
Those are good. I have no issues with any of those.
No, those are things that people are definitely going to be
Yep.
looking for. How about Samuel?
Wonderful.
How you?
Some things that have described me as trustworthy, communicative, and hardworking.
Those are three good ones.
What was the third one again? I'm writing them down, that's why.
Hard work.
Hardworking.
Hardworking or diligent.
Hmm.
Very good. Yeah, those again, you know, you communicate well, people are gonna want those three qualities. That's not a problem at all. And who do we have left? Justin?
Oh, okay. Some things is team player, problem solver, and then empathetic.
Very good. Those actually work well together.
Yeah, I was trying for that.
Okay. Well, you succeeded in that one.
Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, okay, so the whole purpose was, okay, this is what other people think of you and this is how you interpret that. Now, the second part of this is then, what do you want people to know you for? Because they may or may not be the same things. So, you know, so I'm going to pick on Alvaro. So, you know, you're upbeat and joyful and stuff like that. Well, maybe that's just your personality, but that's not, you want people to know that you are also a very hard worker. And sometimes they think of happy people as having too much fun and not, I'm making all this up, but I'm just picking on you just because you helped set this up. You know, and so they don't want that. You want them to know that you're hardworking. So think of three things now, and they can be the same as you had before, or they can be some new ones, or some mixture. So think of what you want to be known for now.
I got three for you if you're ready.
Sure.
So I want to be known as hardworking, reliable, and consistent. Or I would say consistent is the same as reliable. So I would say, oh shoot, that was my third one. I guess just the two I want to be known for is just reliable and hardworking.
Okay. And so now I'm gonna, and that's why I was writing down before. So now let's look at what you are known for, which was self-starter, goal-oriented, disciplined, and put that with the hardworking, reliable, consistent stuff. And if you're disciplined, that's consistent. Okay, and not to use your consistency, but if you're disciplined, you're gonna have regular reliability and consistency built into just the mantra of how you work, right? And also you said you were goal oriented. Well, that says that you're, you know, achieving things and you're competitive and you're wanting to basically be successful. And that goes with your hard working. So these kind of mesh together, and that's a good thing. Sometimes they will be completely opposite with students when they put some of the stuff in. And that's, we'll get to the third part in a minute. Yours are relatively consistent, and that's a good thing. Anything you want to add to that, Todd?
I just wanted to say in general, and I don't know if you're going to talk about this later, so I glanced at your presentation, but I didn't look at it. TJ, and all you guys, when you have these descriptive words of who you are, in your mind, have an example for each of those that you can pull up that is specific to you. So if you're talking to somebody and they go, oh man, I love people that are hardworking, or I love people that are goal oriented, or I love people that are upbeat, or whatever it is, tell me about a time when you did that. Then you don't have to fumble and think about it. So I would, go through your resume or go through who you are in your head and come up with examples for each of those that you can talk about.
Yeah.
That's an area where you can really excel in the elevator pitch world is, you're giving people concepts about yourself, but if they ask you a follow-up question, you want to be able to give specifics on yourself. That's how people are going to remember you, and that's how you're really going to hit home what you're saying.
Well, and some of the recruiters, as soon as they see your resume or you give your pitch, the first thing they're going to do is ask you follow-up questions. You say, I raised a lot of money at my club, for fundraising. Well, the next question is going to be, how much and what'd you do?
100%.
So, who wants to share next? Oh, we added another student. Now we got Frida here. Welcome, Frida. We're in the middle of doing an exercise here. And actually, you've been in my classes. I think you may have already done this kind of thing. Where we're doing the attributes you're known for, the attributes you want to be known for, and then what you do with them. So who else wants to share?
I can go. So things I aspire to be known for are creative, humble, and reliable.
Okay. And I can tell you right now, the humble comes through when you were talking about asking the question about how do I not be boastful?
Thank you.
And
Yes.
humility
Come
is a good quality, believe it or not.
Oh, it is.
You know, while aggression and leadership are good things, a humble leader is probably a better leader than somebody who's more assertive. Because they can show the empathy and the care. Yeah, Todd, go for it. You can, you're on mute right now.
Sorry, guys. One of our trainees popped in. He's at a training and he came in to say hi to me. So I missed the last minute.
Oh, well, we were just talking about Justin, and Justin was saying that he
Yes. Can I say something to you, Justin?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
I love humility. If you can combine a person that is confident and humble, you got a winner. So use humility in the proper way, which is you don't need to brag about everything, but still show the examples of where you've been successful. I love people like that.
Sounds good. Thank you for
It's
that.
kind of that I always tell people in interviews, be confident, but not cocky.
Yeah.
That's kind of, I think, what you're saying. You know, when you're talking to people, I love people who have an air of humility, but still know they can do the job and do it well.
Yeah, there's a difference between confidence and arrogance.
Yes, absolutely.
How about Samuel? Lose him?
I'm sorry.
Samuel, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
My internet's bad. I'm in the middle box right now.
Okay, sorry. So what do you want to
Yeah.
aspire to be?
I want to aspire to be a good leader, and I think the qualities that go under that are being humble, being assertive, and being attentive.
Oh, I like that. Because you got the humility along with the assertion.
Did you hear me, or did I cut out?
No, we heard, yeah, we heard you. So we've got humble, assertive, and attentive. And
Yeah.
what I was saying was that humility, the humbleness, with the assertive is a good mixture. It fits with what Todd was already saying. Is that whole difference between arrogance and humility, you know, confidence. So those are good. So what about Alvaro?
For me, the three qualities I said was good leader, reliable, and cool-headed.
Ooh,
Since with the energetic side, I don't want to come off as sporadic.
you're exactly correct. Yep. No, again, those are good qualities. And so for any of them where none of you had 100% match, and that's okay. That's good. Actually. So now the third part of this is really now on this paper was about how do you build your skills to get to the place from what people think of you to to where you want them to think about you. What I would rather turn that around here is make it more about, okay, now in your elevator pitch and your selling of yourself, how are you going to relate that? So how are you going to transition from So, and Alvaro, you kind of mentioned you don't want people to see that you're joyful and, spontaneous. You want to be cool-headed. So how would you transition that? What would you do to demonstrate that?
What I try to do is keep my hands behind my back so I don't move them as much.
Okay.
So I seem more collected, I guess, in a sense, just based on body posture, like keeping good body posture whenever I shake firm handshake, just minimize movement.
No, that when I teach my sales class, I teach a lot about the fact that, half of your communication is not your words, half of it is your body, your facial expressions, your movements. So all those things. So that's perfect. That plays right into it. That's a good observation. When you talk about reliability, you'd already talked about you being project-minded and motivated. Well, those are good qualities that feed to being reliable, as long as you successfully complete your projects. So the transition there would be about making sure you're always on time, that you do them completely and you meet whatever the objectives are, right? Samuel, yours, how would you, so you got some good ones and they kind of fit well together actually, because you say you're good at communicating, you're good at being trusted, and you're a hard worker. And then you want to be this leader that's humble, assertive, and attentive. Well, if you're a good communicator, hopefully you're also a good listener. Because in order to be a good communicator, you have to not only say the words, you have to listen to what the other person says. And if you're going to be this humble leader and be attentive, those things are going to have to work together as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then Justin, you've got a team player, problem solver, empathetic, and then creative, humble, and reliable. It's kind of the same thing. The team player and problem solver go very well together. And then if you have creative ways to do that, that fits well. And your empathy goes very well with your humility, so the humbleness. So you guys, you've done better than most of my classes do on this exercise. So that's a good thing. Frida, you joined us late. You want to add anything to that? No?
Sorry, I did not know how to unmute. Um, I I like how this exercise is really like adding more so like a value statement while they're like talking about their individual like abilities and things they want to be known for. So I remember too in our class, we always had to emphasize what value we're adding as salespeople. So I think it's pretty interesting that like, Alvaro was saying, oh, like I want to be energetic, but also be like kind of calm and not like sporadic. So I thought that was like pretty cool, or like how Justin wants to be known for being a very humble but a very like confident and effective leader.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to move on then. So hopefully that will help you as we move further here. So as Todd earlier said, this whole thing about being prepared with your elevator pitch. So you want to practice your elevator pitch and have it ready. You don't have to have it necessarily memorized word for word. In fact, that's not a good idea. And don't read it from your phone. But you want to do, so what do you, the components, who you are, which is what Todd was telling you, so your name, your where you are in class, when you're going to graduate, that's about who you are, okay? Then what you've done to deliver value in the past. And as Frida said, we teach in the sales class, always talk about where you're adding value, because everybody, and we talk about these things called features, advantages, benefits. You don't need to know all that stuff, but just know that if you can talk about what your experiences are, where you were successful, or even where you failed, but then came back from it, that's a success. So maybe you built a robot that didn't work, but in that process, you discovered a better battery, or a better energy source. So your failure was, yeah, the robot didn't do what we wanted it to do. But the success was we went on a whole different route and found a new energy source. You know, I'm making all this stuff up, but just so, you know, think of what you've done, and it can be in experiences, it can be in classes, it can be in projects, but think of something that's going to have value to whoever you're talking to. And then what do you want? You know, are you looking for a job? You're looking for an internship? You're looking for just getting some experience talking with people? You know, what do you want to get out of this? You don't have to say that. But if it's you want the job, you do want to say that. Okay. And then the company
I want to know what people want to do.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that's ultimately going to be the end goal, but if people at least have an idea what they want to do and what they're seeking, that's a good thing. We can refine that, you know, but it's better to have something where you're at least, you know, saying, hey, I'm seeking an internship, or I'm seeking a part-time job, or I'm seeking whatever you're seeking. And the other thing I wanted to say, just to add on what Brad was saying, is when you're talking to people, again, I'm approaching it more from a career fair standpoint, but I think it's more for people that are in school. Everything doesn't have to be overdone. Okay, I think students think everything that they have to talk about has to be super impressive. I'm way beyond y'all. Okay, I've been in my career for 26 years. So you all are kids to me. I'm not expecting you to be super accomplished. I'm not expecting everything to be perfect. You could come up to me and tell me, you know, I worked at Carl's Jr. for 2 years in high school, and I'm working there now, and I work 30 hours a week. And as long as you can tell me some good things that you've done in that position that illustrate work ethic and dependability and responsibility and all that, that's value to me. So when you're thinking about your elevator pitch, you can kind of mix in things you've done in class, projects, things that you've done maybe that are applicable to your major, but don't discount other things that you've done that just show, hey, I can show up to a job every day. I'm dependable. My boss liked me, you know, various things like that. I was probably not as accomplished as any of y'all when I was in college, but when I was interviewing out of college, I was referencing my jobs, bussing tables at a Mexican restaurant, working commercial excavation, digging trenches, working in a bar. But I could illustrate that I had bosses that really liked me, and they gave me compliments. They promoted me. They let me handle money. That I work 70 hours a week, week in and week out in the summers, digging trenches. Do that. That's not real fun. I told a guy once, if I can dig trenches 70 hours a week, I can handle anything you will ask me to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's things that are everything doesn't have to be overdone, or you don't have to feel like, gee, this isn't fancy enough or a big enough of a deal, because the way to convey yourself as a person, there's a variety of ways to do that, right? So you want to think about that when you're putting your pitch together.
Yeah, I actually used to light smudge pots in the orange groves when it's freezing at night to keep the oranges from freezing. Talk about a dirty job, but
Yes, sir.
It shows tenacity. It shows commitment. You had to get up at 2 and 3 in the morning. I mean, you basically get the phone call. It's freezing. Get out here. Yeah, I'm not going to go through the company product elevator pitch because you're not dealing with that. We're only dealing with what you guys are doing, but it's very similar. You know, you talk about your product, service, your benefits, and then what do you want to do? Okay. So promoting your benefits, not your features. So that's where I said that, like sales, we talk about features, advantages, benefits. Feature is just what the characteristics. So what are, so the things we just went through. These are your characteristics of where people think of you and where you want them to think. Those are just characteristics. Skills could also fit there. But those features, all they do is tell us, tell something. Okay. Yeah, you're reliable. Okay, so what? what's the benefit of being reliable? Well, I'm going to show up on time. I'm going to do the work you want to do. I'm goal oriented. You know, now you start getting into the benefits. So think of it as benefits sell you, features tell about you. Okay. So yeah, you want to mention features. You know, I have this skill, but what's the benefit of doing that? And Frida actually brought that up a little bit in what we do with sales. So here's some examples. So a feature is, you know, hi, I'm Marky Reed and with Career Networks, and I offer a variety of business consulting services, including leadership and team development and type training. Okay. Yeah. So what does that do for me as the company when I'm trying to hire you? Well, a benefit statement takes that same information and says, hi, I'm Marky Reed. I'm with Career Networks. I transform organizations into highly productive companies with strong leadership teams. I do this providing leadership and team development training and consulting, including personality types. So you see the difference? Because now when you start talking about yourselves, now you can do the same things, you know, like let's say you're really good at Excel or Microsoft Office products. Okay. So your feature is, I'm good at doing Microsoft Office and specifically Excel. The benefits are, you know what? I can learn any software because I learned how to do VLOOKUPs and macros and all this stuff that I did with Excel, not just used Excel. And by the way, it helped gain efficiency by 10% by doing this with other employees. See the difference there?
Every concept should have, or every, I don't know if concept is the right word, help me, Brad, but any example that you give of yourself, I'm dependable, I'm ethical, I'm hardworking. I have more people that come up to me in interviews and tell me they're hardworking and they stop. And that doesn't tell me anything. That's just an opinion, right? I'm hardworking. Everything you say, like I'm hardworking or I'm dependable or I'm whatever, you should have a specific example for yourself to illustrate that. That's where it's going to actually carry weight.
Yes.
And the person that meets you is going to go, oh yeah, that's the Red Robin guy. When he looks at your resume later, he's like, I remember that guy. He told me he was a really dependable guy and he's worked at Red Robin and he did all this stuff. I remember that. Okay, I want to talk to him again. That's where you're going to separate yourself. That's what's going to make your elevator pitch effective, in my opinion.
And so sometimes when you don't really know what your
Is
features,
what that's saying.
yeah, when you don't know your features, here are the questions to help you farm those out and figure that. So what are some of your key strengths? So I just mentioned, like, if Excel was a strength for you guys being engineers, you know, what are some of the projects you worked on? What are some of the concepts you've learned? What are some of the key adjectives that come to mind when they describe you? So that's where we went through this little exercise. You can use those. And like Todd was saying, for any one that you did, and you don't have to have like 10 or 12 of these. You can have 2 or 3. You know, like in the exercise, we only ask for 3 because you're not going to have an unlimited amount of time. So think of adjectives that describe you, but then when you do that, add to that. What are you trying to sell and let others know about you? So that's where the examples come into play. Because, okay, so I am, you know, attentive. Well, what are you attentive at? You know, do you spend a lot of time on details? Do you have a lot of reports that you've run? Did you have something where you had to put something together and it had a lot of intricate parts? You know, give the example that tells the story to go with that feature. And then how is it you offer something useful to the company that they want? You know, so again, if you've done your research on what they're recruiting for, you know what your skills are. Where do they match? And sometimes you're not going to know. Sometimes you know, it's going to be so vague that you're not going to know all the details. But you know, if you can find them, use them. So how do you go about putting together your pitch? Well, you want to use. You guys are engineers, so you know you use flow charts, right? Here's a flow chart. So the first thing, who am I? And that's the stuff Todd was talking about. And you know, then what do I offer? Well, I offer experiences and I offer these qualities. What is the problem solved? You're looking for people that meet requirements. I meet your requirements in what I offer. What are the main contributions I can make? You know, use your experiences to tell the story about how you're going to be the right person and be unique against anyone else. And then what should the listener do as a result of hearing this? Obviously, you want an interview if you're going to the career fair. So, you know, hey, let's set up a time, you know, or what is the next step for getting that? Here's how Indeed, and I actually got this from you, Todd, a long time ago. You know, here's what Indeed says are the 4 steps. So instead of having this 5-step, here's a 4-step. Start by introducing yourself. That's the who am I? Provide a summary of what you do. So what are you doing now? You're a student, you're involved in these things, you have these skills. Explain what you want. I want work with your company because I've already done the research that you're looking for my kind of candidate, and I have my experiences that fit that. And then finish with that call to action. That's, hey, can we set up an appointment? What's the next steps I need to do to apply? You know, let's do something. So this 4-step is very similar to the 5-step. It's just the difference is it kind of combined the 3 and 4 into one in explaining what you want. Okay. Any questions so far? And then finalizing your pitch.
I have one. I have
Go
one.
ahead. Yeah, go.
This is it's just, do you recommend, I mean, researching the company and then kind of finding what they're looking for in a candidate and then kind of incorporating that in my speech?
If possible, yes. Now, again, you're going to career fair, so you may not,
Mhm.
you may get to the career fair and see a company that you didn't know was there and they interest you. So you're not going to have done a lot of research. There's nothing
Mhm.
wrong with, assuming you have time, run over to the side of the room, you know, get on your phone and look them up real quick, just
Mhm.
to make sure you're familiar with them. But if you don't have that time and you don't have, you know, and it's too crowded or whatever, you know, just go talk to them and start with your pitch like you would use at any of the other companies. But if possible, yes, you should do research. To like Todd's point earlier, when he has somebody come up and say, you know, what does CED do? Well, that tells him right away they have not done any research. So you will already set yourself apart from those people.
There's a couple ways to look at it, Justin, just to illustrate, because it's a good question. If somebody comes up to me and they've done some research, that's a plus, right? I would also tell you I'm realistic. I know that a lot of people don't know who CED is. We're kind of invisible to the world at large because, you know, that's just the nature of who we are. Maybe people at Target are a little more off put because, you know, you should know what Target is, right? But CD, people don't know as much. But, you know, what I would say, it's often not what you say, it's how you say it. If you came up to me and said, hey, you know what? I just wanted to come over and say hi to you. I didn't realize you were here and I don't know that much about your company, but I didn't want to not come up and talk to you. My name's Justin and then you go into your pitch. I'm going to sit there and go, oh, well, that's great. This guy came up to talk to me. He didn't know we were here. He didn't know anything about us. He admitted that and he still made a good pitch. That's going to make it a lot more palatable for me to sit there and go, yeah, I'll talk to this guy and tell him what we do rather than somebody that just comes up to the table and goes, well, what do you do? You know, that's what I get a lot. What do you do? And there's no, so it's a two-way street and it's how you project yourself. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Just being sociable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No.
It's like I tell people all the time. You have friends, right?
Mhm.
How do you communicate with your friends as far as the relationship, not maybe the vernacular, the relationship.
Mhm.
And you know, that's all it is. When you go to a career fair, the companies want to talk to people. You have a right to be there. That's why we go to career fairs, so we can talk to people and make connections, just like you are. It's just, you know, how you project yourself is very key. Be interested, be friendly, have something to say. You know, that's kind of what we're talking about here. We're giving you some specifics, but you know, that goes for an elevator pitch in business, that goes for, you know, going to a career fair, have something to say and say it in a way where the person's comfortable, where you can hit the conversation back and forth.
Thank you for that. Sounds good.
You're
Any other
welcome.
questions? Okay, so now finalizing, so write a sentence about each idea you have, okay? And like I said, you don't have to have 20 of them. You don't have to have a whole lot. But do write it down, because anytime you say it, think it, write it, see it, the more senses that touch it, the better your memory is going to be. And like I said, you don't want to write it down and then read it. You want to write it down and you want to retain it. And so that when you speak, you're speaking in the vernacular that you would normally have a conversation, as opposed to reading something like you got it from ChatGPT. Okay. Then take those sentences. So you have those 3 sentences, now connect them together with phrases to make them flow. So if you're talking about, I'm going to pick on Alvaro again. I want to be a leader, reliable, and what was cool-headed. You know, I'm going to talk about how those 3 things come together. And so with, like Todd's example of putting some examples of where I use them. So I was a leader because I was running this organization, right? I put together a meeting for students to have elevator pitch training. You know, I led a group. I'm reliable in that I made all this stuff happen. I, you know, set up dates, have goals, met all of them, and I did this all under pressure when it all worked together. Okay, so I didn't have a lot of details there because I don't know all the details between about Alvaro, but if he had more details, like he, you know, had, you know, he's a leader of a group that has 150 members, you could add those details, but you don't have to have all the details all the time. When you can quantify, you want to, but if you can't, don't worry about it. Did you want to say something to that time?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Then the third part is edit out cumbersome words. So you wrote it down. Now you connected it. You put it all together in a paragraph. Now take out the things that don't mean anything, or, you know, that are just superfluous, right? And edit some more, you know, go through and rewrite it, eliminate unnecessary words, things, and then finalize and rehearse. And I do, please rehearse. I do anything Frida can tell you of sales class. Practice, practice, practice. And you've only got a couple days till your career fair, but that's enough time. When I say practice, 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 it doesn't mean you have to spend every hour of every day doing it, you know, every once an hour. But, you know, practice it 4 or 5 times. So it becomes just part of your vernacular.
Yeah.
So that it flows easily with you when you go up. And you'll find that the first 1 or 2 that you go into the career fair, you're going to stumble a little bit because now you're nervous, and that's okay. They know you're nervous too. But after you've done 1 or 2, it's going to flow a lot easier and it's going to be more natural. And that's what you want. And that's why you practice, is trying to make that natural come sooner rather than later.
That's the key to the whole thing, is you want to have the things you want to talk about in your head, and you want to be able to call on them. You don't want it to be something you're going to go up and read off your phone or off a piece of paper. You don't want to do that. So the preparation is to go through it so you can take certain points and have them in your head and be able to talk about them and be able to speak on them naturally. So if you're preparing this stuff and there's things that, you know, it's all about you, so you should be able to remember most of it. But if you have things that you're having a hard time recalling, I would dump them. You know, they're either not that important or whatever, because you want to have this stuff be points that you can make easily, right? Again, you're going to have limited time. And when I am judging people on a pitch at a career fair, and I want it to be a conversation, the introduction is literally at a career fair about 15 to 20 seconds. You know, you're just kind of trying to start that conversation. And then we're going to hit a conversation back and forth. I'm going to ask you something. You're going to give me maybe some of these answers that are, you know, you're preparing. But you want it to be natural. So if you are struggling on anything and it just seems like you can't get it, my advice would be that's probably not the right thing to have in there. Put something in that you can remember.
Yes. Any questions? So when do you use it? Well, again, the left side, don't worry about the company side, but on the personal elevator pitch, obviously you're going to use this when you're in an interview. At a networking event, which you've got one coming up with this career fair. Believe it or not, with a friend or a relative. And anytime you come in contact with a prospective employer, that's the key one. You don't know when you might, it could be a speaker that comes to your class and speaks about something and you're suddenly interested. Like I've had Todd come talk to my classes and he'll have students at the end come up and talk to him and ask questions. And that's when you want to be prepared to give your elevator pitch, to tell like a Todd or whoever the speaker was, your 90-second value statement. There's a video, we don't have to go through it, but you've got it here. If you take, she basically takes you through all the stuff that we've been doing today. And really the synopsis of what she's saying is make it short. She's saying 30 seconds. I'm saying it's more like 90 seconds. Okay, an elevator pitch is usually about 90 seconds. Make it specific, which I've already told you. Use numbers when you can. Use examples when you can. Make it interesting. And then be interactive and engage the person to whom you're speaking. So, you know, you've got your 90 seconds, but it doesn't mean you have to do 100% of the speaking. You can, you know, ask them qualifying questions or clarifying questions. You know, is this something that is, you know, your company really looks for in the qualities that I'm telling you about? If not, then switch to, you know, something, you know, ask, well, what qualities am I missing? That kind of stuff. But most of the time it's not, you're not going to be asking them a lot of questions, but you want to know that they're engaged and listening and hearing you. That make sense?
Yes.
And I think that's the end of our. So then it's really about, you know, you guys basically going back home, writing out your, I mean, if you go back to doing this, this is really, if you're going to prepare for 2 days from now and have a really good elevator pitch, this is what I do. And I, like Todd was saying, I would have some experiences and examples. And again, 90 seconds is not very long, but it also is quite a bit. Like Todd was saying, your introduction is only 20 seconds. Now you still got 70 seconds to talk about all the other stuff. You know, what are your 3 qualities? What are the examples that then support those qualities? Those, when I say qualities, characteristics or skills. You know, in your areas, some of your experiences, like if you've had internships, definitely you want to bring that up.
I will tell you one other thing when you're doing career fairs, any of this for that matter, but again, specifically, I talk to sometimes hundreds of people at a career fair over the course of, you know, several hours. And I try very hard to give each person the courtesy that I gave the first person, right? And give them their time and be interested and engaged. I try. I don't always succeed, but I try. In your case, all this preparation will be worth it. But often it's how you say things as much as it is what you say. Smile. Act like you want to be there. Talk to that person like they're the only person in the room, you know, and engage with them, because that's a huge part of the interpersonal communication. And it makes a difference because so many people don't do that. And if you can present yourself in a quality manner, if you get a few of your points wrong or you forget something, they're not going to know the difference. They're going to go, wow, that Justin guy was a really good guy. We had a great conversation and, you know, we talked about things and he's got pretty much most of what I want, but I really remember interacting with him and that he's a quality individual. That makes a difference. You know, it's one of those times when the interpersonal part is more important sometimes than what you have. That's not to say don't be prepared. That's why we're doing this. You want to be prepared, but do the other part of it as well.
Yeah. The other thing, I'm going to give you a little guidance secret for career fairs specifically. And I know it works, and very few students do it. So your elevator pitch, you got to do that, no problem. But now say the talk you had with the table went really well. You really like this company. You feel that they really liked you. You know, go out to dollar store, Target, Walmart, wherever, buy a few thank you cards. Paper thank you notes with envelopes, okay? They don't cost very much. $5 or $10 will get you 20 of them, that kind of stuff, right? Go get them, take them with you to the career fair. Now, when you go to a place that you really liked and you felt good back and forth, go over to the side, write a quick hand note. Thank you for the time today. I look forward to speaking to you again or applying to your position. And then go back and hand it to the person.
Make sure you sign your name.
So, yeah, please sign your name.
Otherwise, they won't
Otherwise,
remember.
it's wasted. Yeah, because they're not, yeah. But out of 40 students, I had 5 do it. And those 5, I heard back from recruiters, like Todd, that with some of them actually received those. And it has an impact because that's going to set you up for success because nobody else is doing it.
When you follow up, let me give you one other thing. When you follow up, so you have this interaction at a career fair and you have a great talk with somebody. And I do this with people. I'll say, hey, Frida, before you leave the table, I'll say, hey, we had a great talk. Please follow up with me. Send me an email with your resume. I'm going to be on the road the next couple of days. Send me and remind, something to that effect. And if we've had something we've talked about, the person will say, hey, this is Frida. I'm the person that, we talked about. I'm from Riverside or whatever. If there's something you've talked about with that person that was a connection, put that in your follow-up.
Yeah.
Because that's going to help them remember who you are. Oh yeah, that's Frida. That's right. She's from Riverside. We talked about that. Okay, cool. Good. I wanted to hear from her. That's great. Okay. So there's another thing you can do when you're following up is if you made a connection with somebody, I mean, obviously you're keeping it professional, but you can point that connection out. It helps the person like me who has been at 3 or 4 career fairs in a week and a half.
Yeah. The other thing is when I said write the thank you note, that does not preclude you from doing a follow-up email.
Correct.
You should do both. The only thing with the thank you note is it's going to set you apart right there because nobody else does it.
Yep.
Or so few people do it that it becomes something that makes you unique.
I got a couple this season and I was blown away. It really was. You just sit there and think, wow, this person really has their ducks in a row.
Basically, that's what we've got today, guys. Anything else you guys have questions about? How we can help you prepare?
Not for me. Thank you so much for your time. This is really helpful.
Well, good. Now, Alvaro, I did record this. So if you want me to give you the link to the recording, I can do that.
Yes, please.
I'm going to probably put it out on our YouTube. We have a YouTube channel for the Sales Leadership Center.
Okay, I could probably send people the YouTube link also.
Okay. It'll take me a couple days to do that. But
take your time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
well, I just know my day today is packed. So
mine too. Justin also. We have our design project